3 left. 3 left. 4 right short. 4 left. Opens. 6 left.
You got lucky.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on the last video where we broke down the mechanics from Ohio. Now on this video, we're going to break down the driving from doing Southern Ohio Forest Rally. From this rally, Tim and I had some issues, but for me as a driver, I had some real big learning moments. So we're going to take you through those and do a bit of a deeper dive, and I look forward to getting some input from you, Tim, on how I probably could have done things a little better or differently. So here we go. So one of the big issues that we had at Ohio was I was racing really well the first day, really getting used to the car. Second day I get in the car, or I guess technically it was the third day of the Ohio Forest Rally, and I look at my fuel gauge when I leave the service area in the morning, and I realize my fuel gauge is the same spot it was where I left it the night before. I don't have enough fuel to get through.
You know?
Do you have any fuel?
No.
Okay. So I start to panic and try to figure out what was going on. I'm calling the crew, everyone's unsure, I'm still driving along, and by the halfway through the first set of stages on the morning, we definitely know that I'm gonna probably run out of fuel. So I'm starting to figure out what to do, and I'm starting to try to drive through the stages slower and manage the car, and ultimately about 3 miles of racing before the end of the finish, I ran out of fuel. So, maybe, Tim, give me your perspective on that. Obviously, it was just a crew and communication mistake, but, I learned a lot about managing emotion and anger and frustration, but also learning about my goals, and maybe tell us a little bit about what you've experienced in rally and just running out of fuel.
Well, it is a little bit easier when you make a mistake and crash your car, because then you can say, okay, now there's a takeaway to this. So I can still learn my lesson, when or a car catches on fire, you put it out, then you think about what should I have done.
Right.
But when you run out of gas and you have a crew that's supposed to put gas in, yeah, it's kind of hard to find fault in that, where maybe, like you said, you looked at the fuel gauge and that was odd. Why didn't it move? Well, fuel gauges don't always tell the truth. But maybe there is something there. You could have said, well, fellas, I'm looking at this. Also, when I look at it, I've run out of gas a number of times, and usually winning overall, which is, I think, a little more painful than trying to run the regionals. But I think that, there was a number of variables. With your car, the Fiesta, and the stock fuel tank, the filler neck on that, we'd find that the vent control valve might stick, and every once in a while, you put fuel in it, and it seems like it's full.
Right.
And so the person that put the fuel in really did think it was full.
Right.
It might be that you find out that, he was told put in 7 gallons and it took 2. He might have thought, well, that's odd, but he didn't know the Fiesta fuel thing, maybe. Right. So there's a lot of things that happen on those. Like I said, I have done it while running out of fuel. One of the ways I had done it was I had changed the computer, the ECU that controls the engine, and it was a much more advanced, much more aggressive map, and I didn't tell the navigator. So he's calculating, okay, it's 5 miles a gallon on the stage, and it's 20 miles a gallon on the road, and he's calculated all that based on those factors, and then I changed it without telling him. So that one I can say is my fault, But yes, we've all had this happen, and it's hard to have a takeaway on that, but it definitely will mess with your head.
Right.
So what happened after you finally got back in, right?
Right. Yeah, no, that's a great point, and luckily, because we had an experienced crew, they were able to work with the organizers and get permissions, and they were fully committed to getting me right back out and racing. So that was an interesting point. Having an experienced crew, I was frustrated. I couldn't think really logically at the moment, but they were already working on making sure I could go race and get more experience, which was really cool for me, actually, in the sense of now I'm racing without any pressure because I'm technically DNF, but now I get to really test notes at speed and work with Martin and my co-driver to, trust the notes more, and something that I really hadn't had the chance to do yet in rally, because I was focused on trying to set good times and really focused on, trying to make Team O'Neill look good and be proud of myself. But honestly, even if I crashed on those stages or anything, there was no pressure left, right? So it was like, okay, now I focus on working on my notes, trusting my 3s and my 4s, and and finding that I'm not doing a great job making notes. Actually, that was one big takeaway I had from that.
One thing, like you said, it was the first time you actually didn't have the pressure of finishing or winning regional or whatever. Your original goal was to do well.
Right.
Now all of a sudden you're DNF, did not finish, you don't have a chance of winning. So now it's a good opportunity to say, okay, well, let's just work on technique.
Right.
Because a lot of times if you're going to win, you're not going to experiment, you're not going to practice, you're not going to try new things.
Right.
You found that maybe this was a chance, you kind of breathe a little bit, sigh of relief.
No, I definitely.
Can't lose twice, right?
I didn't want to, definitely would have been really frustrated if I crashed, right?
Yeah,
So I had like
that would be stupid,
80% was my max level of push that I was going to go through, and just learning more about the car and learning more about the co-driver relationship.
You just said 80%. A lot of people, I'm not sure, understand what you mean when that's 80% of your maximum ability.
Comfort level.
Your comfort level.
Right.
So if you're at 100% all the time, eventually you're probably going to make a little mistake and crash.
Right.
If you drive around at 80%, that means you have a little change in your pocket. So you should be a little more careful, and you shouldn't be crashing your car at 80%. So
Right.
you went to 80%?
Right. Yeah, and there's a clip that will show you of Martin. I'm coming over a crest, and it's a right 2, and Martin forgot or was late on the notes to tell me the right 2. So came over this crest and wouldn't have had enough time to go for a right 2 if I was committed.
100%.
Right. And so that's the way I've been racing most of my rallying now, is still with a lot of change in my pocket, because I don't want to crash, and I'm not experienced enough, and I don't trust my notes and all the things that the rally school has taught me.
Right, your goal is to finish, get
Right.
to point B from
Right.
point A.
And so by racing that way, and you'll see it in the clip, it was that way at that point. If we was fully committed, we weren't
And
going to
you
make
saved it because you was at 80%.
Right.
And isn't that difficult to bring yourself back when you're emotionally crushed because you ran out of gas, or somebody told you your time, oh, by the way, Chris, you're up 5 seconds or
Right.
whatever, and that gets in your head. It's very difficult to maintain a finishing attitude, isn't it?
No, that is huge for me, and well, that's a perfect segue into emotions, driving with emotions. So the biggest mistake I made at the rally was about 50 yards past the point at which I lost all my fuel and broke down. I got to race those same set of stages again, and it was about 50 yards past that where I get to do this next section, which you'll see in this clip. But when I came around this corner, and it was a hard left, it was like a left 2, and there's the guys there that helped me out. So I was trying to do a sweet pendulum, make it look really cool coming around the corner, and my feet did the wrong thing. My brain was like, I was so messed up.
You were showing
I
off.
was showing off. So I'm trying to reverse entry into this left corner, like not on purpose, but because my gas pedal, I was fully off the gas, right foot braking. So then I'm trying to add some gas to help get the car back, and I didn't have my foot on the right pedal, and I'm all confused.
Because you were showing off.
I was driving with
maybe you were
emotion.
trying to thank your helpers the
Right.
last
I
time.
thought they thought it would look sweet. Luckily, all the film crews were there, so
Well,
I did it
yeah,
in the
no, it's important. If you're going to look good, it's okay to do something stupid.
or look horrible. At least they got it on film.
But that's what I noticed. Same co-driver Martin with me for many years. He would say spectators. They used to say spectators in the book. I don't think they do anymore.
No.
And so I'd hear spectators, and I'd do something stupid like that, and it would always upset the co-drivers because I'd want to show off. So they stopped telling me spectators. So I'd go ripping by the spectators. I'm like, hey, you didn't tell me. You don't need to know that. Not a good idea for us to know that.
Perfect. Well, so for me, Ohio, 3 big things, understanding, checking my fuel gauges, just double checking the crew, but also being in the point of understanding my emotions and knowing about that. Really understanding how to continue to drive below the limit so that I can finish rallies and, you know, can keep building my confidence in note making. And, you know, I look forward to testing it here at New England Forest in a few weeks, and, you know, we'll have another recap video to talk about at that time. But again, thank you so much, Tim, for all your expertise and feedback.
You're welcome.
I'm learning
And
a
you're
lot.
not going to change the plan anymore?
That's not the plan.
The plan, you start off with a plan. I'm going to just finish. And then somebody tells you how fast you are. Then you say, okay, now I'm going to go win. I say, don't change the plan.
Okay, I'll work on that. Hopefully we won't have that feedback in another video here shortly. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you.
Thank you.